The Capitol was not secure that day. There was a systemic breakdown of security and leadership within Capitol security, the top levels of the Capitol Police.
Why was that?
When Pelosi kicked me and Jim Jordan off the committee and said we weren't allowed to serve on it, we still went to work, and we've conducted dozens of interviews ourselves with Capitol Police officers, other related to Capitol security, and we found serious issues related to how intelligence was gathered, disseminated. The head of the Capitol Police Union told me, he said that they weren't prepared for what happened on January 6th because rank and file police officers were never received the intelligence that was gathered that said something weeks before January 6th is something bad could happen that day. They weren't equipped for it. They had faulty or outdated equipment. Some of them didn't even have riot shields or helmets on. The rioters had better equipment than they did.
Hey everybody, Maz Jobrani here. So Congressman Jim Banks of Indiana goes on Fox and starts complaining about the January 6th committee hearings from last week, calls it a sham. I don't know what these people are talking about. It's crazy. They are trying to gaslight. This is Congressman Gaslight should be his name. These people on the right are so afraid to admit that they're in bed with the Proud Boys, with the Oath Keepers, with white supremacists who tried to overthrow democracy. They're so afraid to admit that they have corrupt people in their party that they're trying to pretend like nothing happened on January 6th. And the problem with January 6th, according to Congressman Jim Banks, was that the Capitol Police was not prepared. That was the big problem. No. We know they weren't prepared. They weren't prepared because the White House didn't want them to be prepared. They weren't prepared because Congressman Banks says they didn't have the intelligence to know that a riot was going to break out. That's what January 6th committee is trying to show, that there was all this intelligence there that ties Trump and his cuckoo advisors to the Oath Keepers and to the Proud Boys, the white nationalists, to then go and attack the Capitol. That's the whole point. Jim Banks says that the police at the Capitol were not as well equipped as the rioters were. Well, they had some great equipment, but they were overwhelmed. Why? Because you had the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys come in. That was the whole point of the hearing, if anybody watched it. The Oath Keepers and Proud Boys, they started going towards the Capitol even while Trump was giving his speech down the block. And then Trump's job was to rile up the mob and send the mob there. So now the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys had backup, and then they attacked the Capitol. Now, Jim Banks is upset because Kevin McCarthy had wanted to put him and Jim Jordan on this committee, and Nancy Pelosi said no. And then Jim Banks is complaining, saying, well, this is not a bipartisan committee. It is. Liz Cheney and Kinzinger are both Republicans. Just because there's Republicans that don't agree to gaslight America and to give up democracy doesn't mean it's not a bipartisan committee. It is a bipartisan committee. And if you, Jim Banks and Jim Jordan, had ended up on this committee, you would have been trying to gaslight and derail the digging towards truth the whole time. It's like these people are out of their minds. They're putting party over country. If I had members in my party that were trying to overthrow the government, I would want them out of government. If there were Democratic Congress people who had been involved in an attempted coup, I would want them out of government. If a Democratic president had tried to do an attempted coup, I would want him out of government and in handcuffs. So spare me your BS, Jim Banks. Stop gaslighting, all this BS. Jim Banks didn't even vote to certify the election, even after the Capitol was attacked. And he's saying the reason he didn't vote to certify the election was because he feels that a lot of states changed their voting during COVID because it was COVID, and they allowed mail-in voting. So Jim Banks is upset that more people were allowed to vote, meaning Jim Banks is upset that we had a more democratic election. Jim Banks is willing to neglect the fact that several courts denied that there was any kind of voter fraud. Jim Banks is willing to neglect the fact that Donald Trump's own attorney general said there was no fraud. But Donald Trump has created the big lie, along with your Rudy Giuliani's and your pillow guys and your Peter Navarro's. All these cuckoos have created this big lie. So now there's people out there because of Jim Banks who are convinced that the election was stolen, but it wasn't stolen. So if you hear anybody poo-poo these hearings and go, no, there was no tie between Donald Trump and the riot. Of course there was. He was in the election, in the debates. He said, Proud Boys, stand back and stand by. Stand by. He didn't say stand out. He said stand by. And when he said that, membership in the Proud Boys tripled. Their membership became more. So of course, he does dog whistles all day long. I mean, what kind of BS are you guys trying to talk about? These guys are trying to pretend that a crime didn't happen because the coup was not successful. It's like, Your Honor, the murder didn't actually succeed, so there was no crime. Yes, there was. It was attempted murder. It was an attempted coup. There was a crime. And they're trying to gaslight everybody and be like, no, it's not about the crime. It's about the fact that the person that was getting attacked wasn't prepared to defend the attack. That's not the problem. There would never have been an attack in the first place if you numbnuts had said that the election was not stolen and not gotten your cuckoo supporters to show up at the Capitol and attack the Capitol. So Jim Banks, you're a fail. You're a fail. You're a fail. You're a fail. I'm happy you're not on the committee. We don't need you on the committee. We need you out of Congress. Get out.